Scott Derrickson to direct Skydance's Bermuda film with potentially Chris Evans starring as a lead. That is a headline on this Thursday's MBE Movie News.
Yes, John, that is the headline on this Thursday's MBE Movie News. Scott Derrickson, as we know, stepped away from Doctor Strange sequel not that long ago over creative differences, which we'll go into, John. But this project, we know that the studio Skydance, I think it is, they're not revealing any plots at this point, but we do know that Derrickson is on board. Chris Evans is on board. It's about the Bermuda Triangle, John. Very intriguing. I've seen a lot of interpretations of this classic tale over the years.
Absolutely.
But what's your thoughts on this, John? The very fact, that Derrickson had stepped away from, the sequel to his original film, Doctor Strange, over the creative differences and the direction he wanted to take that. And ironically, the film that he's now on board with is in that genre he was looking for that direct sequel.
Stephen, I don't think it's a coincidence at all.
No.
I think it's very clear that Scott Derrickson wanted to make an out-and-out horror movie in the MCU. I recall vividly him saying on the stage at Comic-Con that he was excited to delve into this character's backstory, into the comic lore, and take the clear horror aspects out of this multiverse of madness, all of these dark antagonistic forces that would be at play, and bring that into a movie, combine it all and give us a real horror feel. And I thought with the introduction of Blade as well, that was a very horror-centric comic movie, obviously with Wesley Snipes and whatnot. Thought it was a match made in heaven. I then seen Kevin Feige kind of contradicting him a month and a half, 2 months later, saying it wouldn't be that horror-centric, it would have horror elements.
Yeah.
And then no later than a few days later, he buggered off, they split. And he says it was for various reasons, but it was abundantly clear to me that this was over creative differences, a clash in what both guys wanted to do with this movie. One wanted to go with horror, the other didn't want to go with horror. My dog down the stairs agrees, he wants it to be an out-and-out horror movie, incidentally.
Yeah.
But then he went away, and he's obviously now joining this Skydance Bermuda movie. And look, you talk about a movie which is just ripe for a mind like this. This guy knows how to pen scripts in this genre. He's worked with the other writers who are coming on board for this movie. And then you bring in a Chris Evans, a man who has made it known that he wants to go and portray more villainous figures. He also did that in Knives Out, and he was absolutely fantastic in that movie. I think this could be an absolute match made in heaven. I'm so excited for this as well. I mind reading so many stories about the Bermuda Triangle. Well, so a real good movie in this.
What excites me,
setting.
Just as much, John, and it's clear to see in the article as well that that Skydance are giving him a bit more free rein than it was going to have on Doctor Strange. There's obviously he's been allowed to rewrite the script along with I think it's his writing partner. Cargo, Robert Cargo, he's worked with him numerous times, John. So he's able to bring on his own people as well, which is always a good sign from a good studio, And it's interesting to see the people that have been linked with this project in the past, because obviously this project has been kind of up and down over the past few years. The likes of Sam Raimi, that was
funny, Steve. Because Sam Raimi is now in talks to direct Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, and now Scott Derrickson is now going to direct this, so they've swapped.
And I'm like you, John, that's just the irony of it, but I'm like you, it's something that's always intrigued me. There's always these sort of mystical myths out there, and this subject is always intrigued me as well, the Bermuda Triangle. There's just something so interesting about this tale and what it does to people and that kind of thing, so it's going to be very interesting. Chris Evans on board as well. We're both big fans of Chris Evans. No matter what he's in, he's always excellent. So I think everything seems to be working out well for a change, not just obviously for Skydance, but obviously for Marvel as well, because they seem, if that's true about Raimi, if he's on board. He's already been in the comic book genre before, did 2 very good Spider-Man films,
yeah.
So I'm pretty sure he's the right man for that sequel. Now Derrickson Derrickson's not involved in that film. I was so disappointed, obviously, when the relationship broke down for that sequel, because that first film is still one of my favourite MCU films of that period. Just for a standalone film. Obviously, Benedict Cumberbatch, made that film as great as it was, but obviously the director as well. Visually, storytelling, and I was very interested in see where he was going to take the horror element and taking that character Doctor Strange in this direction as well. That would have been very interesting to see.
Absolutely.
Unfortunately, it's not going to happen, but as I said, everything seems to have worked out well, John. But we'll move on to our next article, because we've got a lot to get through, a lot of news dropping today. It's the Eternals. Nanjiani's Kingo will hide in plain sight as a Bollywood star. There's going to be a little dance routine in there as well. But the gist of the article, John, obviously is about the Eternals and where they've been, basically over the last 3 phases, I think it is.
Yeah.
And it's perfectly set up in this instance. In this kind of scenario we're seeing is obviously this character Kingo is going to be appearing as a Bollywood movie star. What's your take on this? Did you see this coming at all?
No, I did not see this coming, Stephen. This will be
Do you not think it's a bit stereotypical though?
Yeah, we get an Indian actor in. Let's make him a Bollywood star. Yeah, it's not very diverse, is it, Disney? You're supposed to be representing and diversifying the populace into movies, and you make the one solitary Indian superhero a goddamn Bollywood star. But look, I suppose for a larger-than-life character like this Kingo, just getting in and being an everyday plebeian walking around with mere mortals, it's not something that's going to jive, is a word I like to use, with someone like that. No, he would want to go and be a big, larger-than-life Bollywood star. And look, it opens up the door. They do say we will be getting a Bollywood dance number in this, and I liked Camille's fantastic quote where he says, "It took months of Bollywood dance classes to prepare for that. It's really a workout." And there's like 52 dancers, and 51 of them are professional dancers, and then there's me. So I love the guy's humour, and it's taking everything on the chin. Well, his modesty. I'm sure he can dance. But it's just the fact that he carries himself with this modest demeanour, if you'd like, and he's getting into this, and he's just really enjoying the whole experience, getting ripped as hell. And now we're getting a Bollywood dance number.
He was so modest about that as well, his physique. He's obviously worked his ass off, John. To put a better phrase, to get in shape for this role, and every time this guy comes out with, a statement of such, and it's in these articles, I just seem to like the guy even more, and I can't wait to see it. The other thing about this scenario as well, portraying some Bollywood star, it kind of highlights the position of where the Eternals have been as well. I think them coming out of nowhere as a group, as a super force or whatever they may be, wouldn't make much sense coming into phase 4. If you're going to do that, you'd have done it in the first phase to establish these. But the fact they've been blending in to just being ordinary Joes for
thousands of
years, long time.
Yeah.
So it kind of makes sense, and why not put a little bit of humour on it as well, and I'm pretty sure he can dance. I don't think we'll be laughing at his dance routines. Yeah,
Stephen, look, it also opens up the door for other characters within the Eternals, what they've been doing as side sort of ventures, because they do say it's going to obviously traverse thousands of years. They all have to be introduced. I'm sure the likes of Kit Harington and Salma Hayek, I always want to say Penelope Cruz, it's not her. Angelina Jolie and stuff like that, where they are, Richard Madden as well, what they're all going to be doing at the start of this movie, that'll be an interesting take. Seeing them going around their everyday lives as plebeians, hiding amongst the mere mortals and then rising up. I cannot wait for this movie, man. Cannot wait.
Will it beg the question though, John? Will it fit in okay, do you think? I think it will, but do you think it will fit in okay with phase 4 coming into this, after what we've experienced with the first 3 phases, with everything that went on, even Thanos aside, just everything that was going on, these guys are just maybe working at a checkout, just ignoring things.
I think, I don't know how they're going to handle it, Stephen, but with obviously Kevin Feige and all of those people involved at Marvel Disney, I'm sure they'll get the balance right. I'm sure they'll introduce them in an organic manner, and they really have to start with a bang here with this new phase, because we're stepping on the legacy of the likes of obviously Iron Man, Tony Stark and Steve Rogers. We need to have a new group of heroes come in and really pass over that baton and take a hold of it and take us into this new phase of storytelling, this new saga. So I'm really cannot wait to see what Camille gives us.
Well, John,
with his Bollywood dance number.
I am going to take you into a new phase of something that's a bit of unknown to myself. Thanks for dropping me in it. As you know, I was hosting the show today, and it's about a video game that I've never played or heard of, and it's it's in development by HBO from the Chernobyl creator, which I've not seen either. So wish me luck on this one. The Last of Us is obviously the game, John, series in development at HBO from Chernobyl creator, as I said. Now, obviously, what's your thoughts on this, John? I'm going to throw you right under the bus right away because I'm not too familiar, obviously, with the video game. You did kind of brief me on the sort of setup of it. It's very Fallout series, post-apocalyptic sort of scenario. Is this something that intrigues you, having played the game? I wasn't privy to have a PlayStation 4, so I didn't have the experience of playing this game, but obviously with I can't remember the guy's name, the Chernobyl fella.
I don't know his name either, Stephen, because I've only seen bits and bobs of Chernobyl. It's been on in the background. I did get a little bit interested in it, but then I've not really got enough time to sit down and watch TV shows all that much.
Craig Mazin's his name, John. He was the creator of Chernobyl. So
it was magnificent. From what the little snippets I've seen of Chernobyl, it was fantastic. It was quite authentic, despite doing a sort of Valkyrie thing where they were all English-speaking English actors portraying Russians. Yeah. But it was really, really well created. There was some harrowing scenes where dogs are being shot and obviously to stop the spread and things like that. It was really gripping, but not gripping enough for me to go and watch the entire thing. So can't speak about Chernobyl as an artistic sort of whole, but I do know that HBO are just synonymous with incredible TV shows, like Game of Thrones for the most part. Well, 6-7 seasons of it anyway. We'll forget about that ending. Band of Brothers, Pacific.
Well, John, this is the thing about obviously Chernobyl. I'll just go back to obviously the grim setting of that series. I've only seen bits as well. I can't comment on the series, as a whole. But from what I see visually, I think it would fit into a post-apocalyptic sort of setting anyway. So I can obviously see the connections from that point of view. But as much as I like my video games, as I said, I wasn't privy to playing this one. I liked my Fallout games; they were fantastic. So I kind of get the gist of what the series is about anyway.
Oh, Stephen, well, there was a novel, and I think there was a Viggo Mortensen book, The Road, and it's much similar to that. It's these two characters wandering around this horrific world. It's sort of virus and there's zombified creatures and whatnot.
Bit like just now.
Yeah, a bit like just now, with the coronavirus and whatnot. Hopefully not, but I don't want to be going down that road.
No.
Traversing zombified countries and whatnot. But yeah, it was a very interesting story. It was really fleshed out. They do say in this article, and they're absolutely right, the writer of the Last of Us, Neil Druckmann, he's one of the finest storytellers in the video game genre, and that was his sort of magnum opus. It's the sort of Sgt. Pepper's of this guy's, well, some people would say, I would go with Rubber Soul personally, of this guy's catalogue. And it really is an incredible story. It's lush. It's not like any other video game in terms of adaptation. It's absolutely ripe for adapting into, well, originally it was supposed to be a film. They have now canned that and it's stepping aside for a HBO series, and I feel like a mini-series or a fully fledged HBO series is the best place to tell this story, because these guys are just synonymous with incredible TV shows. Band of Brothers is still one of my all-time favourite TV shows.
I was going to say, John, imagine they actually made the Band of Brothers a film instead of the TV series. There's not enough time to fit all the story in, and obviously the
great characters,
the way it was written, and get to establish these characters and get to know them. So I think it's probably the right move to make. How many post-apocalyptic films have we seen over the past decade? This will be something different.
The other thing's the casting. They need to get the casting right. What was that actress from Hard Candy? Was it the one with the paedophile, and she locked him in her bedroom and tortured him? Kind of a small actress, Ellen Page.
Ellen Page.
Ellen Page. She looks the absolute double.
That was a great film.
The absolute double of the female, the little girl in this. She is spitting image. She has to come in and play it. I think the likes of Hugh Jackman maybe coming in and playing the
reunited from X-Men Last Stand.
Absolutely. I think those two together, if they can get the casting right, and I'm sure they will, HBO know what they're doing, this will be an absolute success.
Yeah.
This is the next Game of Thrones.
Yeah, and we'll look forward to that, John. But we'll move on to just a little piece of news that came in midweek. It's our first glimpse of the Batmobile, John. Matt Reeves has shown off the new Batmobile for the upcoming The Batman. I've heard rumours about that as well. You know, the title of the film might not be called The Batman. I'm going to be very disappointed if it's not.
Well, the working title's Vengeance.
Yeah, I prefer The Batman, I've got to be honest with you. But what's your thoughts, John, on this? You know, it was a tweet, you know, Matt Reeves LA on his official Twitter account, posting 3 pictures. We'll get to see Batman as well, standing next to...
With a cape.
Yeah.
Finally.
Yeah.
And what a difference that cape makes to his suit. It just completes the suit. There was a lot of criticisms over this suit, it being a prototype, one that he will get rid of at the end of the movie for a proper Batman suit.
Yeah.
And it is prototype. It looks incomplete. It's slightly rugged. It's almost like the Mandalorian at the beginning of the Mandalorian. He's not attained what is that goddamn metal they use? I can't even remember.
Yeah.
But he's not obtained the full sort of gauntlets and shoulder pieces. But I still like the suit. I like the helmet, and now he's got the cape. It looks so much better. The actual Batmobile, it looks like a Mustang. It looks like a Steve McQueen Bullet Mustang, souped up to hell with an incredible engine. Yeah. The little red touches at the back, it looks quite demonic and slightly startling.
John,
and Stephen, I spoke about this actual film. The inspiration for it's the Batman, the Golden Age.
Yeah.
And that was a different Batman. He was killing people. He didn't have the no-kill policy, and it's a different character who was more chained to gadgetry and obviously the detective sides of things.
It's not a Batman we've seen on the on film, John, yet.
But it would maybe work with this car, this red-centric car.
Well, why not? You know, they could go R-rating on it anyway. You know, and they can do a bit more than they could do in the previous ones. Yeah. But no, I would very much be for that. You know, having a Batman that's not got the sort of moral compass, you know.
He's still to grow up.
He does what he does, you know, because he sees what he does is the right way, rather than have those moral obligations. But going back to the actual car, John, you're right, Mustang are all over it. I also, it kind of takes me back to the Adam West Batman, you know, absolutely. Series as well, the Batmobile. But I think that was maybe a Cadillac or something like that.
Yeah.
But it's that kind of you know, classic car look. It's got a kind of looking from the back, you know, that photograph from the back, it's got a kind of Tumbler sort of vibe to it as well. Yeah. Obviously flattened down a bit, but it does tie in well with the suit. You're right, it's something I never actually picked up on, you know, and I just think it looks fantastic. And I said this weeks ago, I think it was when they were releasing the shots that were here in Glasgow. Mm-hmm. This is the beginning of it, you know. And this is what we're going to get now until the film's released. All these little photographs, and absolutely love it. The
actual aesthetics as well, Stephen, it looks very noir. So that again plays into the detective side thing that Reeves is what to go with this movie. I just think it looks incredible.
It does, yeah.
I don't know where it would stack in terms of Batmobiles. I did like the Affleck one, that sort of tankish one. Yeah, that was very cool, and the Tumbler was iconic. Yeah,
so. I liked the Tim Burton, the first Batman one as well. You know, it was a very long, sleek sort of look to it, but it kind of, you know, it fit in with the environment. So, but I certainly do like this one.
Absolutely.
I just think they've already done the Tumbler thing with obviously the Chris Nolan films. I felt there was a kind of spin on the Tumbler in the Ben Affleck ones as well, but it was still a great looking car. But this one, you know, and I think I just like the look of this. You know, I'm liking everything I'm seeing from this film, not just obviously the car. Chicks love the car. Is that not what Robin said in Batman and Robin? Wow. Ooh, Chris O'Donnell, what were you thinking? But yeah, I like it, and I'm liking everything I'm seeing that's coming out so far.
Yeah, Stephen, the only final thing I would add is that it looks grounded in reality, but it has got elements of sort of comic bookiness going on, the sort of gothic, neo-gothic thing we've seen.
Yeah. You look at it and you go, that's a Batmobile.
Absolutely.
Don't you? So we'll move on anyway, John, to our next topic. It's Taika Waititi is directing 2 Roald Dahl adaptations for Netflix, and no prizes and guessing what ones it's going to... Well, one of them, because I wasn't sure what the other one was going to be, if I'm telling the truth, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, and a wholly original take on the Oompa Loompas. Now,
yes,
I don't know, I can't remember if they actually concentrated on the Oompa Loompas in Charlie and the Great Glass Elevator. I can't remember. It was.
I've never seen it.
I'm a lot older than you, John, so it was probably about 35 years ago since I read that book, and I do remember the Oompa Loompas playing a big part in that storyline. I'm very sure. So I don't know if it will be. Obviously, everyone knows Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Great story, but the follow-up, you know, you get a guy like Taika Waititi coming in. The other thing we have to mention as well, John, is going to be an animated series of films as well. It's not going to be live action. So what's your thoughts on that? Are you happy it's going to be animated rather than live action? Because we've already had the Gene Wilder Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. We've had the Tim Burton with obviously Johnny Depp's Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, both live action, different spins on them. It seems natural. The only way they can go now and have a different spin on it is obviously having an animated film now.
Yeah, Stephen, look, I'm delighted that it is animated, because it didn't work with the Johnny Depp one. Tim Burton, was it? Yeah. It didn't work.
It was rotten.
You can't replicate or beat that original one. It was a masterpiece with Gene Wilder. So do something different. Shake it up and do an animation style. I'd love to see a collaboration with a Leica or something like that, but sadly, because it is with Netflix, that is not going to happen. I think it would lend itself with their sort of stop motion animation style. But I'm delighted about this. I love Taika Waititi. I love the guy's humour. They do say here he just has that magic about him, that ability to combine whimsical elements with dark edges, and he presents kids' eye views on corrupt adults' worlds. Yeah. I mean, it's just the perfect guy to bring in. I mean, it just works. There was a malevolence about Willy Wonka. He was a good guy, but he had that dark edge. There was something sinister underneath. And I just feel like this guy could come in and really portray that very, very well. I think you're right as well, what he says about that glass elevator one. I think that did delve into how he got the Oompa Loompas. I think that he went to the land they lived in and rescued them or something along those lines. I recall. Because we were speaking, they were originally going to do a prequel movie, and there was talks of, I think, Ryan Gosling.
That's right, I forgot
Michael
all about that.
Jordan, was it? I
perhaps,
think Ezra Miller was the three names. I mean, I'd rather an animated style, but focusing on this concept of the Oompa Loompas. They're colourful, cheerful little guys. They do song and dance. He's never done an animated series or movie, whatever it's going to be. And it's something different for him that shakes him up and challenges him. He's a busy guy. He's obviously done the Last Go Wins or whatever. He's doing the new 4 movie. And now he's doing this. So, again, another big name coming to Netflix as well. So, very exciting for them.
And I'm pretty sure, John, he's going to have a cameo voice appearance in it as well.
Willy Wonka,
like he
has to be.
That would be ideal, wouldn't it? That wouldn't be a cameo though, that would be a big part, but either way he's more than capable of it, as we know, John, with his voice work on the Thor films. But listen, we'll move on to the next article. This is something that came in, I think it was yesterday actually. No Time to Die release pushed to November amid coronavirus fears. John, what's your thoughts on this? Pushed back by 9 months. 9 months. Is this hitting the panic button a little bit too early? Well, obviously, what we'll talk about after this film with another film that we thought was going to be delayed because of the virus. But we'll not talk about that one just yet, though. We'll talk about Bond. James Bond, you know, and he certainly is shaking and not stirred. But I think November, John, is still a long way away. Nearly 9 months away.
Nearly winter,
you know.
Again.
And listen, we've always said, you know, we're not the biggest of Bond fans on this show, but Daniel Craig, I'm a fan of, you know, and I think he's been a really good James Bond over the last 14 years, 15 years, whatever it is. But there is a lot of people who love this franchise are going to be so disappointed with this getting pushed back with obviously the global spread of the coronavirus. John, what's your thoughts on this? Is this just are they just panicking too early?
Stephen, there's a whole lot of people panicking at the moment. There's people stocking up in 100 rolls of toilet paper as if that's going to make a difference.
It's not for runny noses.
Buying up hand lotion and sanitisers and whatnot. If you're going to get this disease, you're going to get it. There's no running away from it. I think this is hitting the panic button because in most of the Western world it has not took a hold as of yet. There is growing numbers of cases, and look, who knows where we will be next month when this movie was set to come out. It could be a complete epidemic by that point, and then they will be vindicated. But I think they're saying it's more likely that you'll catch it in maybe a restaurant setting anyway. So, I mean, life's going on in other settings. Football's still being played. We're still having 60, 70,000 people turning up to matches. And then they're kind of a delay in this. 9 months, November this year.
Yeah.
Just in time for getting into winter again, when this virus will probably raise its ugly head again. It will go away through the summer months when there's less strain. They'll maybe get a hold of it, and then it'll come back again and start infecting people again, and they'll have to delay it again. I think someone said something along the lines of Billie Eilish will be 73 or something by the time this movie releases. I'm actually disappointed because, look, I'm not the biggest James Bond fan, but I'm really excited for this movie.
Yeah.
Rami Malek is clearly playing Dr. No. Yeah. It's a new take on the character. It's Daniel Craig's last outing as Bond. I was looking forward to it. Yeah. And there's a lot of people bought pre-bookings or pre-advance. They've bought the tickets in advance. And they're now losing out in about £40-50 for them and their family and whatnot to go and see it. So I think it's a mistake. I really do.
Yeah. John, just on the flip side of that, box office, Mulan eyes huge $85 million plus opening weekend. We were talking about this a few weeks ago. This looked like it was the film that was going to be delayed, not James Bond. Obviously in China and at the Far East, you know, but it looks like they're ploughing ahead with this. Yeah. What's your thoughts on this, John? 85 million plus opening weekend. I would say that's probably about right. Yeah. You know, it's a big story. It's a film that a lot of people are looking forward to. But this being released after all the talk we had a few months ago that this film was going to be, not a few months ago, a few weeks ago, that this film is going to be delayed because of the coronavirus. What's your thoughts on this?
Stephen, I think this is, again, it's interconnecting beautifully because I think Bond is massive in China. And I think this is part of the reasoning behind this Barbara Broccoli and the studio decision to delay Bond, because they know that it will not release in China for a good while because that's still the epicentre. That in Italy now. Don't know what happened in Italy. Lord knows what happened in Italy. Yeah. God damn tallies. Damn you to hell, you've brought it here. But I digress.
Now James Bond's going to die. He's going to die.
Now it's clear it's not going to be released in China for a long time, and probably piracy will rocket over in China, and they obviously now know that they'll not make the money that it would otherwise make if they delay it to November and it all comes out at the one time in the world. So
you're saying this decision is based on money, John?
It's based on money, absolutely.
Not human safety.
And then we have obviously Disney taking the other side of things where it's all based on money and not human safety.
Ahead,
and they have been vindicated. $85 million opening weekend. That is monstrous. And I'm not surprised either, Stephen, if indeed it doesn't become a pandemic or it's already a pandemic, let's be honest, but if it doesn't become an epidemic in Western worlds quite yet, until this movie's had its stint at the box office, then I fully expect it to earn the money it's earning, because unique concept, they're changing things up. It's a distinctly different Disney remake to the ones we've seen before, and look at the money they made. They made close to $1 billion, if not over $1 billion every time. Yeah. This is another one that will make upwards of $600 million at least, maybe touching $1 billion, so it doesn't surprise me at all. And look, it's something that's continuing. Disney have no plans to actually delay the likes of Black Widow yet either, so they're taking this extremely different take to who the hell is it that does Bond? Is it Lionsgate or Sony or something?
Is it MGM? I can't remember.
Yeah, maybe MGM. I think it is MGM. Yeah.
I just it's a strange decision. It really is. You know, I don't really understand the reasoning behind it.
You can go with a gas mask. You know, well, I'm ready to buy one. I'd deliver for a job.
Well, I don't think that'd do you any good, John. But what I mean by that is, I think don't want to panic you or anything, but other big franchises are just going ahead anyway, regardless. So it certainly is a strange one, but I think it's more to do with obviously affecting the box office more than anything. I think that's what their concern is, the studio. I would hope not, but I think that's what it is. But listen, John, that just brings us to the end of this section of the show, we kind of went on a bit of a downer there at the end of it, talking about coronavirus, but it is affecting everyone, you know, in the world. So it's,
I might
it's
not be
only,
doing this show shortly.
well, we're all right as long as we lock ourselves up in this studio. But
Me and
listen,
my
we'll
dog.
move on to the blog rundown part of the show, John. We've got 5 reviews coming in. I think predominantly they're all from Gianni.
Yes.
He was a very busy boy at the beginning of January. He gave us a lot of movie reviews, summing up his best films of 2019, as we recall. And the first one coming in is Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, John. And this was directed by Quentin Tarantino, starring Leonardo DiCaprio, Brad Pitt and Margot Robbie.
Yeah, Stephen, look, what can I say about this movie? Thoroughly magnificent. Really, I loved it. A lot of people hated it. They've got it as one of the worst Tarantino movies.
Yeah, what are they doing?
I personally, I don't know what they're smoking. Clearly one of those LSD cigarettes that Cliff Booth had at the end, because it was a magnificent movie. It whisked us back to the 1960s. His hometown, he really faithfully recreated it. Also him in the production, which they won an Oscar for.
Yeah.
Amazing performances. Gianni loved it as well. He gave it a 9.5 out of 10. The matter is, the ride is so delightfully honest and fun, and I agree, it's the bygone era. It's these two distinctly different guys. Hollywood's completely different, but yet it's evolving, so it's almost mirroring what we're seeing just now with the streaming services and whatnot. Just a wholly enjoyable movie.
Yeah, I thought the ending was fantastic as well, John. I thought it was just bonkers, and it had a nice touching end to it as well. You know, it was the classic sort of what if scenario, you know, and it was very touching. I remember sitting in the theatre just getting a wee bit choked up with that, just because of, you know, what happened in reality, you know, and it was quite a poignant moment. But listen, we'll move on to the next review from Gianni. It's Knives Out. This film was directed by Ruin Johnson, as some people like to call him. Ryan Johnson, of course.
Yes.
He certainly didn't ruin this film. Daniel Craig, Chris Evans, Ana de Armas, a whole host of stars in there, John. I could go on all night. It's a classic. Whodunits always seem to have big cast, don't they? Big name players. What was your thoughts on this film, John?
Stephen, I loved this movie as well. I thought it was getting back to what Ryan's great at: independent storytelling, independent film. The guy's got a great mind. He's a fantastic filmmaker, and when he gets together a cast like this who are so amazingly talented, I just watched a video recently of him breaking down individual scenes and just the depth he allowed the characters to have by positioning them in the correct way. It was just magnificent the way he put it all together. Just incredible movie. Daniel Craig was fantastic as Benoit Blanc. And I agree with Gianni again. He says, give me all the sequels I can hear that so I can hear that delightfully campy foghorn leghorn accent that Daniel Craig has over and over again. I agree. I suspect foul play. I loved it. I love Daniel. I said it before.
He's very good. He's very good at accents, as Daniel Craig, John, as we know from Logan Lucky as well. But yeah, it was an excellent film. And you're right, Ryan Johnson getting back to doing what he does best. You know, Michael Shannon in there as well. Jamie Lee Curtis. He was like a comedic relief in it. Yeah, and he did it so well. But he is good at that. You know, he's always been, you know, very good at that. I think the first role I saw him in was actually Groundhog Day. It was a very small part, but it was a very funny part. So he can play dark, as we saw in the likes of Man of Steel, Shape of Water. You know, but
he was really dark in that.
But there were some comedic moments as well. You remember the finger thing? That I don't know if it's just my
with
humour.
the car as well. He was absolutely raging with the car, and I would have been as well.
But it was funny, you know, and you know, and the likes of Jamie Lee Curtis in there as well. You know, I can't wait for the sequel either. You know,
clutching her iPhone.
It's going to be interesting to see who's going to cast, you know, in that, you know, the follow up to this one. So we'll keep our eyes peeled for that one, and we'll move on to our third review. It's Little Women from Gianni once again. This was directed by Greta Gerwig, stars the likes of Saoirse Ronan, Emma Watson and Florence Pugh, and a few other big name stars in there as well. Yeah, Stephen, look, I agree with Gianni again. I'm agreeing with everything he says. He's just right. And this was his top 20, so it's all these films are these sort of and he's right what he says. Films that he likes. It's an amazing exploration of intimacy, really, and just these women going on a real journey. I do agree with what he says about the miscasting as well. I presume it's Timothée Chalamet he's speaking about here. I think the character in the book he's certainly a dark-skinned European. I think he's French or Italian. Right. Timothy, not so dark-skinned, but look, Chalamet, the guy's just a magnificent actor. You can't go wrong bringing him in, and there's so many great performances, just beautifully directed as well by Greta Gerwig. Yeah. I had never seen the original movies. This was my first
foray with this story, and I really, really enjoyed it. One of my favourite movies from last year.
It was one of Gianni's as well. Another favourite from Gianni was Parasite, John. We did an in-depth review of this a few weeks ago. This is directed by Bong Joon-ho and stars the likes of Kang Ho-sung, Sun Kyung Lee and Yeo Jung-jo.
Yeah, Stephen, what more can I say about this movie? Not more, that's a Scottish word. I'm having a mare. Yes. Fantastic. What can you say? He's absolutely nailed it again, Gianni. It's as close to being perfect as humanly possible. He went back and watched it again and again to see if he could find a chink in the armour.
Yeah.
Stephen, I've seen the movie twice. Just think it's magnificent. It's one of the best movies I've seen in years. What Bong Joon-ho did, the performances he got, the storytelling, the symbolism, visual metaphors, just everything about it, the way it was shot, just perfectly edited, constructed. Fantastic. Perfect to me. Yeah, I couldn't even find fault. He knocked a fraction off. I wouldn't. I'd give it a 10 out of 10.
Yeah, certainly a 10 out of 10 for me as well, John. The whole experience, and obviously leaving it open-ended as well at the very end. There was no sort of concrete conclusion to the film. It was a lot of leave it to your own interpretation, which is always good in a film, in my book.
Yeah.
Performances as well. A lot of dark humour in there. Like we got in the trailer, that first trailer, and then things take a slight turn for the worse, or the better, depending on which side you're looking at from. But I just felt the whole film, obviously it had the symbolisms in there, the class system. Classic from this director, as we've seen previous in films from him as well. That seems to be the underlying tones in the film, with the class systems, certainly in that neck of the woods, and he highlights it so subtly as well in places. So 10 out of 10 for me, John. But we'll move on to our I think this is our final film, from D.M. Anderson, and it's Gemini Man from 2019. This was directed by Ang Lee, stars Will Smith, Mary Elizabeth Winstead and Clive Owen. Yes,
Stephen, again, I agree with Dave in the main, what he says here. I actually didn't probably like it quite as much as Dave, I think, ultimately taking what he's taking out of it. He thought it was fairly enjoyable. Take that back immediately. It was an okay movie, man. I agree with what he says as well. The heart and bones, or meat and bones of the review, where he says it's really a failure of promotion, and he's right.
Yeah.
They gave way too much of this movie away in the trailers. The concept of this younger and older Will Smith character and them fighting off each other, that should have been left out. You should have left it more ambiguous in the promotion. Then when you actually get into it, it would have perhaps made the movie more enjoyable. But it was an okay action movie. It had lots of lovely set pieces and whatnot. The CG was okay. It wasn't amazing. There was some moments in there which took me out of the movie slightly, but it's Will Smith. But I think it was a failure in terms of box office.
The fact that Dave did say that the film does play more like Grand Theft Auto missions, because it's
true though.
It was like one thing after another. But
worst shots and Stormtroopers.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it wasn't the worst film I saw of 2019, and a lot of people had issues with the de-age, and I don't think it was as bad. I didn't think it was bad or any better than The Irishman. Dave mentions that as well. I thought some of it looked alright in certain lights. It seems to work better when it's more in the darkened sort of tones of films, the de-aging process. But I thought the film was okay. I agree with you. It was a very decent action film.
Stephen, what I will say though is I think we did put it in top 10 worst movies of 2019, but I disagree with that right away. I actually recall back then we didn't put Dark Phoenix in, and I says at the time we screwed up, we should have put Dark Phoenix in, but it was high up. I think it was 10, so it wasn't the worst. You're right.
Listen, I've changed my mind slightly on Irishman as well since I've last seen it. For little niggly things, so listen, your opinion can change.
It can. So I'm not saying it's the best movie of 2019, but it was a decent action film. Decent little action film with some distinct flaws in there. Certainly not in my top 10 though. I take that back. Dark Phoenix should have been in there. That was a car crash of a movie. God damn you, Simon Kinberg.
Listen,
what did you do?
I had in my most anticipated films of 2017 a film that's still not been released, so what do we know?
Coronavirus is going to delay it again, Stephen. Oh no. But look,
we're talking about New Mutants, by the way.
Yeah, New Mutants, yes. Maisie Williams will be 73 by the time this movie comes out. Stephen, unless you've got anything else to add, do you want me to finish your show, or do you want to try it?
Please do, because I sink the ship.
Fantastic. What did you guys make of today's show? What's your thoughts on Scott Derrickson working potentially with Chris Evans on this Bermuda Triangle movie? What was your thoughts on the Batsuit, on Taika Waititi, on The Last of Us. If you've got anything to say at all about any of the subjects we spoke about, you can comment below and let us know what your thoughts are down below in the comments section. I'll try to breathe now. You can also like the video. I'm like Darth Vader at the end of Return of the Jedi. That'll be me with my gas mask in about 2 weeks. You can also subscribe to the channel as well, guys, if you're enjoying the content. And if you do, then you'll potentially see us again tomorrow for our review of Invisible Man.